the topic for this session, the quiet skills that run the company. So I think all of us know some people, some processes without which the tasks would not be completed. But I think we don't recognize it either formally, or there is no, say, metric in the company that recognizes or kind of incentivizes those kind of interventions. So there are several reasons might be. One is, of course, so as we understand that measurability problem. Some people work maybe in multiple teams and they are acting as a glue kind of thing. But the other people who are, say, dedicatedly working for a team, or say the front faces, they are recognized more. That can be one problem or issue. Second thing is that sometimes we are living in a hybrid working conditions. So many people, they are working from home, not coming to the office regularly. So they sometimes are not actually highlighted properly. But without them, the project may not be completed, or the company will not be doing well and kind of thing. The other issue might be that sometimes the corporates don't understand the importance of certain person, or as I said, that certain tasks. When that person leaves the company or something, then people realize what is kind of missing, things are not happening kind of thing. So I would say we would start with your own kind of experience, because you work in varied industry. So I'll start with the youngest colleague. Incidentally, he was my student also 20 years back. So Saptar.
Yeah, I already shared sir my photo in our MBA group. It was such a pleasant surprise to have. So in Bajaj Allianz we had Mr. Nanu Pamnani, who was a legend in the finance space. He was a city banker who joined the board, and he was a stickler for audit and compliance. And when he came on the board, I think I remember the first audit that happened, the internal audit that happened across the company. The HR department failed. Uh, and we were a little taken aback because we were having audits forever, and then we just realized that every single aspect of HR, whether it was how you look at recruitments as a process, how you look at payroll as a process, how you look at full and final settlements, how you look at how you're processing PF and gratuity for your employees, everything came under a totally different scope. And it was a disaster because, you know, the HR department can't fail an audit. The first thing was denial, that the auditor was biased. And, you know, I remember we were in the first discussion with Nanu sir. He, I mean, for lack of better words, he rogered us saying that, you know, you guys don't deserve to be in the police. But that one audit 10 years back, it just made us such better professionals. That even in a department like HR, where you seemingly don't feel that, other than probably a salary bit of it where you're sitting on a wage bill, you don't really look at audit as the most critical area. And I don't mean audit as a department, I'm just saying for every process that you do, it has made me such a better professional in the way I look at, let's say, a portfolio company in Motilal Oswal today. And the funny bit was that when he came in, he introduced a mandatory leave policy, saying that every employee in the company has to take 7 consecutive days of leave in a year. Inevitably, that gets clubbed with 2 weekends, so you're out of the company for 10, 11 days. And we all felt that, you know, he's maybe not that bad a guy, he's actually working for our benefit. And then what you mentioned that, you know, when we had the policy in place the first year, a lot of the leaders didn't take the mandatory leave. And when that, and Mr. Pamnani asked for that list, saying, I want to know who are the HODs who've not taken the leave. And he personally ensured that each one of them was penalized, and next day they all took it. And it just made us realize that the moment you had someone at a very critical role away from the company without any system access for 10 to 11 days, it's not about, you know, how, whether there was a fraud happening, it's just that the processes became so much better. And, you know, we still carry some of those practices today for something that happened 10 years back. So I think very small learning, but I know it will stay with me for life.
Taking a cue from your mandatory leave experience, so there are other experiences also. For example, I routinely see banks, for example, they have these, many banks have policies, 10 days annual leave you have to take. But I see several bankers that they are doing work. I said, you are on leave. No, no, boss is calling. There is conference call at the background all the time. That is one. And then in the training program, we conduct a lot of training programs. All the time I see participants being called, okay, by their bosses, this, that. So it is also the onus is also on the organization, that it is not enough to have a policy, walk the talk. Okay, you really have to kind of leave them for holiday kind of thing, and nobody is that indispensable in this world. Okay, that I think even organizations need to understand that thing. So both ways it will work. Then only employees will take leave also, because employees may think that without me many things may happen and I will be kind of FOMO factor kind of thing. So I think yeah, sir.
From my perspective, I think particularly the topic which you spoke about. In our organization, we have a year-end or annual exercise which is conducted, where we have to identify two sets of people. One is what is called as high performer, and the second one is critical. Okay, critical are exactly the people whom you narrated, who are very good in terms of the processes, and at the same time you think that from a desk perspective they are very critical, for doing the job, and things will go awry if they are not there. The purpose is again very very different. Hypo are someone whom the organization will invest in and ensure that they are given a path. Any new assignment, project, etc. They will be tested so that they can take senior roles. The purpose of the critical or critical this thing is primarily to identify people who by next year you need to ensure that there are adequate backup, and each manager is actually made responsible for ensuring that there is adequate backup, and next year he doesn't come in the list of critical staff. And that is the way in which you are identifying and treating them again differently. Not that they are they are going to lose their criticality, but you are basically making the organization little more robust and little more resilient in terms of this thing. You are not anyway dependent on a single person to complete everything. So you will ensure that there is a rotation, there is a backup, there is a change in the role, whatever is required, or he may move to a different role within the bank in a different position, etc., etc. So there are these programs within the organization which
In my initial remarks, I highlighted the measurability thing. Let's say in a particular team, people are working, that's you can measure. But one person is contributing little in several tasks, or say involved in several teams. How do you measure their contribution? Is it a kind of easy thing?
No, it's not. Okay, but these small things equate to.
But without that, that thing will not be complete. That's what my point is.
People always say the sum of the parts is bigger than the whole, right? Okay. The fact of the matter is everybody is contributing. Okay. You have to look at the entire ball, and when you turn the ball, it has to look round and like a ball. It cannot become a square. That's when you know that, and I think that's the measure which you have to utilize. That the contributing people are the ones who are not the loudest in the room, who are not the quietest in the room, but are somewhere in between.
I think you've asked, it's one of the trickiest thing to do, is to measure sometimes the unknowns or something which is not visible. So one of the experiences or one of the aspects that we look at, performance, through the KPIs and, the care is fairly, you get a certain aspect of it. One of the things we have tried to do, I wouldn't say that it has always worked out to the T or to the success that we wanted, is look at the softer aspects of it. And we've actually built out a questionnaire as part of the year-end process that when you evaluate an individual, yes, we have the kind of what we call the performance snapshots, which covers certain attributes. But we looked at softer aspects of it. One of the questions that we asked is that, who do you go out to? When you have a problem, who do you reach out to? We are an accounting firm, so we've got a lot of people who have the expertise. But if there are five, let's 6 people sitting here, we all have, let's say, a similar expertise. Who do you reach out to when you have a problem? Now, 6 of us are probably capable from a technical proficiency perspective. We're all capable of doing it. But who would you reach out to? Because of either the fact that they're easy to work with, they're approachable, they have a right attitude that you can work with. Some of the softer aspects, and sometimes it's a combination, or it's different things that comes into play. And we've tried to put that as to, and when you do it across a larger team, you find that there are certain people that who may not be your high performers, who may not be doing, sometimes even not very critical amount of work. But then people will tend to identify as this is a person that I reach out to when I have a problem. They're like a go-to person. And one of the things that we believe is that also another facet of is when you do good work, the reward for good work is definitely more work that will come to you. So it's also the way we measure, and again, a different parameter we use is chargeable hours. Chargeable hours, and as an accounting firm, is how we measure performance. And when you have more hours, it basically means that more people rely on you to get the job done. And if you do a good job is when they're going to come back to you, because first time I may come to you because I may just have, you may have availability, so I come to you, you do your work. But if I do not really enjoy the experience of working with you, whether it's on your deliverables, on your communication, on your professionalism, anything, all of that put together, the next time I do not want to come to you. I would want to find somebody else who I want to work with, right? So it's an indication of it. It's a softer indication of it. That's how we look at it, and saying those chargeable hours tells a story. The numbers tell a story behind it. And when you add the softer component of it, it's never a perfect story, but you can find out most pieces of the puzzle, and which directionally where the person is and how you can reward that person. I think that's what we have tried to do. Again, I wouldn't say we've gotten it down to a T, but directionally we know that we are probably heading in, or we identified most of them. Still a few fall through the cracks where people should be more recognized than what they have been doing. But I think that's what we have found in our experience. How do you go and ask around? And when you ask around in a softer manner, you get more insights.